and want to just welcome everybody to this MACC Zoom. This is kind of a unique one. It's an information session. We're here to explain to you all about the employer value of having MACC shared benefits, and it's definitely a benefit of being a part of the MACC network. I'm Laurel Hansen. I'm MACC's Program and Member Engagement Manager, and I'm joined by my co-moderator, Clara Owen, MACC's Communications Director. And we're here with you today, and we're pleased to be joined by all of you. You are all members of the MACC network, and this is definitely something that's available to you. We're also going to be joined by some key MACC leaders and representatives from MACC's benefit partner, Gallagher. All right, so I'm just going to shout out some introductions. Today we have on hand MACC's VP of Member Advancement, Tricia Reinwald. Hey, Tricia. MACC's VP of Human Services, Amanda Golly. Hey, Amanda. And Caleb Goldberg from Gallagher. Hey, Caleb. Thanks for being here. We're recording the session. You probably heard that. And you will receive the recording afterwards, as well as the slide deck that Caleb's going to share with us today. And you'll get that in our e-goodie bag email following today's presentation. So this is interactive. Please bring your questions forward at any time during this session. You can chat it, you can raise your hand and unmute yourself, any of that. I'll be keeping an eye out for your questions, and I'm going to hand it over just to hear a little bit more about our shared benefits to Tricia.
Yeah, I just thought I'd do a quick introduction so you have a little context for what this is. Every couple of years, we do a session where just a briefing for members about these benefits. These joint benefit plans were one of the first collaborative projects that our members took on like 25 years ago. This is one of the first things they figured out how to work together on and get some scale on. So all of us know like what this employment market has been weird, it's been hard, it's been evolving, but we also know employee benefits are a really volatile cost for every one of our organizations. So this is really the kind of part of the foundation of trying to work together to get scale together as a shared kind of collaborative effort. And so it's important to understand this isn't just a discount program. It's really, or like a preferred vendor, or a sponsorship relationship like you might see with some other associations. This is a true collaborative scale in the marketplace, a partnership with members participating and maintaining these the governance of these benefits together and going to market together. And so that's what this represents for us. So I'm really glad all of you are here. We get to tell this story every time we have a new member join, but for those of you that have been members a while, it's nice to get in front of you and talk about these benefits because it can be a really amazing thing to add to your employer value proposition. And I think folks are always curious if it can save them money and if it can be a better benefit than what they can provide on their own. So we're hopeful today you all will leave with some more information about where to go from here and learn a bit about these benefits. And Amanda, our HR VP, works really, really closely with members, with our HR members, and knows a lot about the relationship with Gallagher too. So I'm going to hand it over to her quick to just intro whatever you think is important. Amanda.
Thank you. So the history, the value proposition as a MACC member, then you have access to these benefits as well. So as an HR subscriber, if you subscribe to HR services, then the HR team administers the plans. If you are a MACC member, then you have access to these benefits. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And please ask questions, raise your hand, throw something in the chat. That's what we're here for as a resource. So Caleb, I will kick it over to you.
Sounds good.
Laurel. Maybe Laurel first.
Yeah, well, I will just say a few things about Caleb before he runs with it and shares his expertise. You may know him if you've worked with Gallagher before, but he focuses on partnering with nonprofits as an employee benefits consultant at Gallagher. He helps organizations craft tailored benefit strategies. So we definitely have the right person here at the right time. And by maximizing benefit spends, organizations are able to save money for their missions while attracting and retaining talent. That's that value proposition that you've been hearing about. The benefits pool goes a long way for your employee value proposition. So we're eager to hear from you, Caleb. Thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for having me. So, for those of you that I don't know yet, my name is Caleb Goldberg. As they mentioned, I'm an employee benefits consultant with Gallagher Benefit Services. We have been fortunate enough to partner with MACC for the last couple of years. So I'm really excited to come here today and give you a high-level overview of the program and share some exciting updates. I would just like to reiterate some of the comments from the intro. We work with associations and pooled benefit plans all over the place, but there's something really unique about what MACC is offering, because we do have our preferred vendor programs and other kind of more not so collaborative approaches. But this is really one consolidated economy of scale that really speaks to the identity of MACC as it's been for their entire existence. So if you're joining us from the recording, thanks for being here as well. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and dive in. So we have a lot of content to go through, and I'll try not to keep us for too long. If you do have a question, please don't hesitate to drop it in the chat or interrupt me. I think we have enough people on here so we would be able to get through everyone's questions. But today we'll give you a high-level overview of the program itself, and then dive into all the lines of coverage that you can access and some of the additional features and maybe some of the other resources that you get access to through this program. So there's going to be dental, vision, life, and the AD&D, disability, and Minnesota paid family medical leave. I wanted to include a section about that because you can offer a private PFML plan come 2026, but this will impact your disability coverage if you're offering STD or LTD today. So I just want to kind of verbalize some of that. And then there's an additional voluntary worksite benefits section you can touch on, and some other resources like the EAP. We'll leave some time for questions at the end and make sure to talk through the next steps. So we're gathered here with nonprofits, specifically human services nonprofits. So we all understand that at the end of the day, your people and your talent are your biggest assets. And we always want to make sure we're attracting and retaining the best talent so that we can further support our mission. But we also want to make sure that we're rewarding, engaging our employees along the way. One of the primary ways of doing that is through your benefits. So benefits certainly are an investment in your people, in your talent, and they can at times be somewhat unpredictable costs. And that's really where MACC approached it. So coming from their background of collaboration, they wanted to find a smarter, more collaborative, and more efficient way to offer cost-effective benefits that fit the needs of their employees. So as I mentioned, there's a handful of apologies for that. There's a handful of lines of coverage you can offer. You don't have to offer every single line you see here. You can pick and choose. There is a slight caveat with the PFML. So if you did opt to offer a private PFML plan, they would ask that you also bundle your disability with that if offered, and otherwise offer at least one line of coverage. But there are three main parties involved in this program. The first is obviously MACC. Second is Gallagher. So we are an industry-leading insurance brokerage and benefit consulting firm. We have a unique focus and expertise in partnering with nonprofit organizations. We also have a handful of strategic partnerships like the ones we have with MACC or the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits that allow us to further enhance our skills within that market. So overall, we're fortunate enough to partner with over 400 nonprofits in the state of Minnesota that range in size, scope, location throughout the state. MetLife is the carrier of all the plans. So for those of you who are familiar with this program in the past or have sat in on this meeting before, you'll notice that there has been some consolidation carrier-wise. As MACC was continuing to assess the needs and their evolving challenges for them and their members, they wanted to make sure that we're matching our vendor partnerships to best fit the needs. So we consolidated coverage with MetLife. Although they're traditionally known as a life and disability carrier or maybe a financial firm, they do have very strong offerings for things like dental and vision. So I'll go ahead and get us started with dental. So there's really 3 words that I would use to describe MetLife's dental offering. That's access, discount, and quality. They've spent a lot of time, energy, and resources on creating a very efficient and useful network so they can compete with some of the long-standing carriers such as a Delta Dental. So they actually have one of the largest PPO dental networks in the industry. If we focus on Minnesota and even more specifically the Twin Cities area, they still have one of the larger networks as compared to their competition. So nationally, there's over 500,000 access points or providers, and they have a consolidated network approach, meaning they have one network. I don't like to pick on any other carriers, but some of their competitors will have like a dual option where one option has a more narrow network but deeper discounts, and the other will have a more broad network but not as deep of discounts. So MetLife wants to keep it simple and minimize disruption, so they have one network for employees to use. Once you have your selected dentist or clinic, you will receive very meaningful discounts. So because of their size and their scope, they're able to negotiate deeper discounts than their competitors. So they're able to beat the industry average by a few percentages. So not only will you have great access, but once you've gotten there, you can access lower out-of-pocket costs. Now, because they have that background as predominantly their life and disability, they want to ensure they're offering quality dental coverage. So they have a rigorous provider selection standard. They're continuously monitoring and recredentialing their dentists to make sure they're adhering to their standards. So this leads to very low network turnover rates. So you're not seeing your dentist in network one year and out of network the next. And it also further reduces the disruption to employees. So their network is actually growing at 10% or around 10% every single year. They also have a network growth team. So if you or an employee identify a dentist that's not in their network, if you're able to share the name of that dentist with us, we can have their team reach out. So it's not a guarantee that they'll be able to add them to their network, but we can at least give it a shot. Although they have a very broad network, if you happen to go to a dentist that's out of network, there still is coverage, and they try to keep the coverage around the same. They just base it off a fee schedule, and that can oftentimes cause issues with the billing. But over 99% of dentists will accept a direct payment from MetLife, so we're not having to do any balance billing or any follow-up costs or follow-up payments. The graph you see on the bottom right hand of the screen is a couple of years outdated, but I still think it's important to note. So this just kind of further communicates the fact that you'll not only have access to more providers, but you'll have a deeper discount. So if you look at how many claims are being processed in network, it's above the industry average, and then their average discount is again above the industry average. Outside of just the core coverage and access of the dental offering, there are a few additional value adds that can make the experience much better for the employee. So the first starts with just information. Every employee will have access to an online portal where they can view information about their plans, track claims, find dentists, even book online appointments or book appointments online rather. And there's also a cost estimation tool. So if you want to know exactly what you're going to be charged when you show up to the dentist, you can use that as well. Going on the theme of an online resource, you will have access to teledentistry options and a library of oral health resources, so you're able to continue caring for your mouth and your teeth while you're not going to the dentist. Now, MetLife wants to make sure that employees are using their coverage, so they've actually built in some incentive plans. So if you or your family members that are on the plan are going to your preventative or your check-ins, they'll provide a incentive. It's usually in the form of a increased annual maximum, a reduced deductible, something of that nature. So through this, I'll be showing you a handful of plan designs. So these are the plan designs that most of the MACC members are offering. This also provides a good opportunity for us to share some benchmark data that helps us understand how these plans would compare to the market. So what other similar nonprofits are offering. But the dental plan here includes a $1,500 calendar annual maximum, as well as a $25 deductible for an individual and a $75 deductible for family. This does include orthodontic coverage at the same benefit as the annual MACC. And then as we break down the different types of services between preventative, basic, and major, the coverage amount or coverage percentage goes from 100 to 80 to 50%. So as we're comparing this to the competitive market, and this data is compiled from a handful of sources, but mostly from ones like the Gallagher keeps in-house, we can see that this dental plan design is on the higher end of the spectrum. So top end for the annual maximum, a much lower deductible, does include orthodontia. And then if we look at maybe like the basic services, your fillings and sealants, you're getting a higher coverage percentage as the market. So typically preventative is going to be covered 100%, and then slowly break down as you get to the higher cost or more intensive procedures or services. Awesome. Similar story for MetLife's vision. So again, they're known as a financial institution or financial carrier, but they do want to offer a fantastic dental and vision offering. So still the access and quality and discounts are going to apply to this. MetLife can partner with a handful of different networks, a handful of different vision networks, but the VSP is probably the most popular. So through that network, you'll have access to reduced costs in your exams, your materials, fittings for whether it's contacts, glasses, any things like that. I typically say that vision coverage, and I'm saying this as someone who's sitting here wearing glasses, but vision coverage can honestly provide one of the best returns on investment of any benefits, because if you are utilizing everything that you get an allowance for or you get coverage for, it can far outweigh what you're paying in the small monthly fee. So when you're going to an in-network provider, you're going to lower out-of-pocket costs on everything I had just mentioned. There are thousands of providers across the country. I always like to highlight a few of the more flagship providers. That would be your VisionWorks, your Target Optical, Costco, Walmart's, things like that. But this network is also very easy to maneuver. So here's kind of the plan design that most members are offering. So this comes with a $10 copay for your exam, a $25 copay for your standard lenses. Now that copay would vary if you need to get different types of lenses. And then for either frames or contacts, you have a $130 allowance. All of these are going to come on a 12-month frequency, so you can get them once a year with the exception of the frame. I want to touch on the exam a little bit here. So most of your medical plans will include an eye exam, but those are going to be rather limited in scope. In my opinion, they're mostly checking your prescription and checking to make sure there's no glaring issues with your eyes. So it's not going to be a very detailed visit. That's why we suggest if you are going to the eye clinic, it's sometimes best to use your exam through your vision coverage. There are additional value adds or additional discounts you can access as well. That would be discounts off of your additional pair of glasses or sunglasses. And you can even get coverage and discounts on things like LASIK. But let's move on to more of the financial protection benefits. So we'll start with life and AD&D insurance. Now, this is one of the benefits that can provide a lot of meaningful value to employees, but comes at a lower cost. So if you're comparing, for example, life insurance to health insurance, it's going to be cents on the dollar if we're looking at the total premium for life instead of like a health insurance. So through MetLife, you can offer both basic life and AD&D and supplemental insurance. So you can allow employees who need more coverage for them and their families to opt for more. Outside of just that financial protection, you do have access to additional services like grief counseling, will preparation, estate planning, things like that. I'm sure most of you are aware, but the most common basic life benefit is $50,000. There's a few reasons for that, but one of them is due to the taxability of that benefit. So actually, most MACC members are offering a far richer benefit of than that of up to 2 times annual salary with a matching AD&D benefit. So Oftentimes I get questions about what is AD&D or accidental death and dismemberment. That provides the same benefit in the event that you accidentally die or you are dismembered, so maybe you lost a limb or you lost your sight, something of that nature. They'll provide a benefit while you're still alive. It's pretty common for most employers to offer a voluntary or supplemental life policy along and let employees choose how much they need. The standard guaranteed issue is somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000, but through MACC, most members are offering a $150,000 guaranteed issue, but you can still elect coverage above and beyond that if you submit some additional paperwork. You can also offer spousal and dependent coverage too, which is a fantastic benefit to continue to support families and protect them. I'll probably spend the majority of time on the next few slides here as we're going through both short-term disability, long-term disability, and Minnesota's paid family medical leave. So MetLife will offer both short-term disability and long-term disability. This is to be used in the event that you're not able to work for a handful of reasons, whether that's illness, injury, or pregnancy. Throughout the claim, there is hands-on assistance, so that can help you with tracking the claim and even setting up a direct deposit so you're able to get your payment quicker. There's additional features that I would consider to be somewhat unique in the market. This would include, a return to work incentive, a rehab incentive, maybe that's a worksite modification benefit. So items that are included within your policy that can help employees get back to work or at least recover quicker in the event that they are not able to work. This has been jumped ahead too much here. So looking at the plan designs that most groups are offering, both the short-term and long-term disability offer a 60% income or wage replacement. On the STD, that's 60% up to $1,500 on a weekly basis. That comes with a 7-day elimination period and a 13-week benefit duration. So the 7-day elimination period means you need to be out of work for at least 7 days before the benefit will kick in. And the benefit will pay out for a maximum of 13 weeks. I note that specifically because that will tie into our conversation about the PFML. Then with the long-term disability at 60% wage replacement of your monthly salary up to $7,500. Looking at the market or benchmark, again, these are on the top end of it. So you're able to offer additional benefits or richer benefits to employees if they are unable to work. So a lot of the conversations that we've been having with clients and even with MACC as we're preparing for the Minnesota paid family medical leave is how are these going to coordinate? How are they going to work together? I'm sure most of you on the call are offering short-term and long-term disability today, but we'll get into that here. So I'm not sure if everyone has their cameras on. Could I just get maybe like a thumbs up, thumbs down with how familiar everyone is with the PFML program that's coming up? I'd like to hope most people are a thumbs up, but maybe we're somewhere in the middle. Cool. Thank you, Amanda. So as you're all likely aware, come January 1st of 2026, every employer in the state of Minnesota who's employing at least one employee in the state will have to offer the Minnesota paid family medical leave. They can either do it through the state program or opt to do it through a private plan, which would require a private filing fee. The cost of that would vary by the size. But what you need to know is employees will have up to 12 weeks of paid leave for when they're unable to work for their own health or their own safety or that of a family member. So you can use 2 separate leaves within the same calendar year. So you can use 12 weeks of leave for your own health and safety or 12 for that of a family member, but you can't exceed 20 weeks. So if you use 12 weeks to start and you need another leave, you can only use up to 8 of those. The maximum benefit that employees could receive based on their earnings would be just over $1,400, but your wage replacement percentage will vary as your income changes. So the lower earners will have a higher percentage of their income replaced and vice versa for the higher earners. If you opt to go with the state plan, there will be a payroll tax to fund this program, and that will be set at 0.88 of payroll taxes or 0.88% of payroll taxes. Now, you can split this with employees, but you can only do so at a 50% split. If any of you have fewer than 30 employees in Minnesota, you can opt for a small group small group credit, if you will, where you're able to reduce the total cost of the program through the state specifically. So as I mentioned, this program is going to apply to all employers who are employing anyone in the state of Minnesota. So whether you're a nonprofit, for-profit, this would apply. For the employees to be eligible for this program, you need to be working at least 50% of the year or more in the state of Minnesota. So I know these days we have a lot of remote workers or folks who travel. So if you're living in Florida or Texas or something and you're working there majority of the year, you would not be eligible for this. But let's say you are splitting time and you're here in Minnesota for 7 months and in Arizona or something for 5 months, you would be eligible. Additionally, if you are working over 50% or more of the year in Minnesota and earning 5.3% of the state average wage or more, that's what makes you eligible. So that 5.3% equates to somewhere around $3,700 or so. So it is going to include a lot more employees than some might expect because of that low threshold. And there's been a lot of conversations and maybe some confusion as we're quoting this or trying to predict cost, because although your short-term disability or long-term disability might only apply to the benefit eligible, come 2026, this program will apply to, again, anyone earning over that $3,700 mark or more. So I mentioned some of the qualifying reasons for leave. That would be for your own health, that of a family member, and they can also apply for pregnancy or bonding. One important item to note on that is, as we are preparing our clients for these upcoming changes, we've shared that if an employee had a child at any point in 2025, come January 1st, they can apply for bonding leave. So although the claim itself would have happened or occurred previous to the plan going into place, they could still request that income replacement and that time off. So as you're preparing for staffing levels at the beginning of the year, that's something you should note too. And this is somewhat of a unique program, in my opinion, in the fact of how much it's publicized. So by the end of the year, everyone will see information about this on Star Tribune and on the news, whatever it might be. Whereas some employees might not be familiar with all their benefits today, like their short-term or long-term disability. So don't be surprised if there is an increase in utilization of this program. A lot of the questions we get are about the definition of a family member as well. So really how I boil it down is anyone who has a family-like relationship with you. So it can be rather lenient, but it's going to be spouse, domestic partner, child, parents, really anyone who might rely on you or need your assistance in the event of need. Okay. So probably the best way for me to kind of contextualize or share how your disability coverage will coordinate with the Minnesota PFML is this slide right here. So what you're looking at is an example employer who's offering a short-term disability benefit of up to $1,500. The blue bar is showing you what the employees would receive from their short-term disability policy, and the orange/yellow is showing you what you would receive from the state program. Now, a couple items to note on that: whether you're going with a state or a private plan for this, the plan design is going to be the exact same. So the reimbursement and coverage is going to be the exact same. And another thing to note too is, unless your benefit is above, or your short-term disability benefit is above, call it $1,400, it would be completely replaced by the state program or Minnesota's PFML. Because as you're looking at all the different earnings, you're still getting more coverage to the state program. It's not until you surpass $115,000, $120,000 or so where your short-term disability would cover additional. So how we are advising clients in this setting is, if you are opting to offer additional coverage above and beyond what they what the state could provide or what the state program will provide, you can offer a supplementary short-term disability policy on top of that. Now, it would come with reduced premiums from what you're used to this year, because there's, it wouldn't kick in until a higher rate. That's just for the sake of continuity, so employees have the same coverage in 2026 as they did in 2025. I made a few notes or comments about the benefit duration and the elimination period or the waiting period. So we understand that this program will have a 12-week benefit duration. We're going to want to make sure that if you are offering a short-term disability policy, that it would coincide with that. So it would also kick in at the same time after the same waiting period and also go on for the 12 weeks. Then once that's up, we would want to make sure your LTD kicks in after 90 days or after 12 weeks. So I'd expect a lot of groups to look at what their benefit durations are for this year. If you have any employees that are in another state and working predominantly there, and so they're not eligible for this, and you continue to offer short-term disability above and beyond, $1,400 or so, you could theoretically have 3 different types of short-term disability leave come 2026, and I'll try my best to explain it here. So for the folks that would be in Minnesota, they would have access to this program and then any supplementary SD on top of that. Then you'd have a third bucket of true short-term disability for employees who are in any other states, so that they're not receiving a lapse or a disruption to their coverage as well. So you can offer a private version of this through MetLife. In my opinion, for most groups, and especially nonprofits, they've started to come out with some of this. They probably have the strongest offering as compared to some of our other competitors. So this is something we could include as well. Now, again, if you're interested in the PFML, they'd ask that you offer disability or another plan alongside of it. But I'll stop there. Are there any questions from anyone on disability, Minnesota paid family medical leave that you'd like answered live? Great.
Caleb, I just wanted to, if anybody feels comfortable, since we have time, offering a dialogue, that exemption that you shared a couple of slides ago, I was just curious, some of you do belong to smaller organizations. Is anybody, and maybe you don't know yet, and that's A-okay. If you have under 30 employees, are you considering the applying for the exemption? Exemption. I'm calling it an exemption, but it says a grant.
Yeah, grant or credit probably is how I describe it. In my experience so far in the conversations we're having this year, most of my clients who are under that 30 threshold are opting for the state or preparing to use the state because it can offer a 25% discount or so off the total rate. That's not every single client of that size, but that's my general sense.
I don't know if I could speak for us, but Valerie might know. We probably will be, I would assume. I think we'll be under 30 by next year.
Yes. I just didn't want to speak to that because we're unsure really how many staff we'll have at that moment, but yes, Shane is right.
Sounds good.
Okay. I would say state, as this develops, for those of you that are unsure, or you're a one-person executive director, HR, fundraising, if you're wearing all those hats, stay tuned and make sure you watch for our MACC Zooms in. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you. I was going to ask that, Amanda. We're a church, we have a different standing with a church organization, so we actually are private through the state of unemployment, and in this program we would be a private. But I would love to speak with you more in how, because our fluctuation right now with our funding, how we could maybe get any or assistance or any guidance on like filing for these programs and this assistance during this time, but really being without kind of uncertainty. I'd love to follow up.
Absolutely. And I would say, absolutely, Valerie, reach out. And also, things are developing for all of us, right? This is going to be new for all of us. So a lot of this, we'll figure it out as we go. And that's one of the benefits of being a MAC member is we're in this together. So we will figure it out for sure.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, to that point, the state is still clarifying details. For example, the increase in the benefit or the maximum benefit up to $1,400.23 or $1,423 only happened last week. So I know it took them a handful of months to confirm the wage, and then they're still in July ironing out some of the details. I've also come across that there are a lot of unique situations and unique questions. So we're relying on our contacts within the state and our compliance team to keep us updated. But it feels like a lot of the questions are being answered for the first time from the state. So if you do have anything specific, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're more than happy to have a conversation. I'll keep us moving along here. I know we wanted to keep time. So there's one last kind of financial protection benefit that I want to talk through. So this is a brand new offering through the MACC shared benefit program. So I consider these worksite benefits. They're there to provide payment in the event that you experience an accident or are diagnosed with an illness or have to go to a few doctor's visits or spend a day in the hospital. So you can offer accident insurance, critical illness, and hospital indemnity. Accident and critical illness will provide you a lump sum payment if you are injured or if you are diagnosed with a serious illness. And then the hospital indemnity is there for if you have a stay in a hospital or you have kind of regularly scheduled visits or something like that. You can receive a per day or per visit reimbursement or lump sum. There's a few different value adds included in these, mostly pertaining to health screenings and healthcare navigation, but they're also considered a connected benefit. And what that means, and part of the value of bundling all of these lines of coverage together, so your disability along these worksite, is that they can all speak to each other. They can all talk to each other. So I'll use the example of someone having a child. So when you're going to give birth, you're filing a short-term disability claim because you won't be able to work for that duration. Well, if that employee is also enrolled in hospital indemnity, MetLife will automatically see that they're on the short-term disability, they're also in the hospital indemnity, and will be staying in the hospital because of their birth, and they'll automatically get that payment from the indemnity insurance. So a great way to provide a seamless experience for employees and help them understand everything that they're signing up for and have access to. A lot of you are probably familiar with employee assistance programs. MetLife does also offer an EAP. This is in partnership with a company called TELUS. So maybe you have experience with that in the past, but this is really designed to help with all lifestyle challenges or lifestyle goals you have. So whether that's for mental health, like you're seeking counseling for anxiety or depression, or you're going through some family challenges, maybe that's looking for elder or child care. Maybe you're brand new to your job at your organization and you're looking for support and kind of navigating that, or you're looking for identity theft support or financial and legal support. Really anything that would touch, anything that pertains to your life outside of work, this can certainly be a resource for you. It's available 24/7 by phone, website, and app. Now, this is becoming pretty common and honestly pretty standard in the industry, but MetLife does provide a lot of employee resources so they can further understand and navigate their benefits. So every employee will have access to a portal called My Benefits. This is their central hub for reviewing benefit information, accessing their ID cards, things like that. But then they can track their claims. They can find all the health and wellness tools that we had mentioned, some of the other navigation services we mentioned. And this is ultimately the conduit to the customer support. So this can really tie everything together that we just went through for the employee. Outside of MetLife's offerings, there are a handful of other resources you would get access to by being a MACC benefits subscriber. So the first that I'll throw out there, or I guess these will all more so come from Gallagher, but the first I'll throw out there is called our Benefit Advocacy Center. So this is one-on-one support for employees as they're looking to understand their benefits, maybe find a provider or something of that nature. So it's really designed to be an extension of your HR team. So as you're fielding questions from employees, you can leverage this benefit advocacy center where you have access to a team of benefit professionals that are be similarly experienced and knowledgeable as someone like me, and they can answer questions for employees. It also provides a good opportunity for employees to ask questions that they might not feel comfortable asking their employer. So we're able to offer that at no additional cost to employees or to members here. And then for more of employees' lifestyle needs, maybe that's auto insurance, home insurance, renters insurance, they have access to Gallagher Marketplace. So it's used directly for all those lines of coverage. There's a handful of different carriers that are on there, and you can also access discounts and deals on everyday items. So it really can help you outside of the workplace. And this is designed to be used for both employees, friends, families, you name it. If any of you are looking for or looking to create a more streamlined approach to managing your benefits, whether that's for open enrollment, new hires, or purely just the general management, we can offer you Employee Navigator. So that's one of the most popular benefits administration platforms in the industry. It's very versatile and it can work well for your team. So those are a few of the additional resources that we can provide as a part of the program. Now, there was a lot there, so let me know if you have any questions. As a reminder, you do need to be a MACC member to have access to these programs. So if you're joining us and you're not a MACC member, or you're looking at joining, you would need to be a member of the association. But once you are a part of the program, every single group is serviced by a Gallagher consultant and a Gallagher account manager. So we are there to help you with the quoting process, the evaluation process, implementation, and the ongoing management. So that's above and beyond your open enrollment. So you'll have year-round service, both in the renewal and outside the renewal with any day-to-day needs. So I think we hit our time perfectly here for 2:45, Laurel. But if anyone is interested in joining, I'd ask that you reach out to Tricia, and we'll coordinate together to get your quote and then go through and schedule time to evaluate your proposal. So
It's quite oh, excuse me.
I'm sorry, I had one question that didn't get answered in the chat. Caleb,
yes.
do you know if the vision plan offers hearing assistance?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but let me follow up with that, answer that, and follow up with Laurel, and we can share that in the follow up too.
And
That's
Caleb,
a good question.
sorry,
Yeah.
did I miss? I didn't hear anything about medical. So you guys don't offer, MetLife doesn't offer medical; they just offer dental in this plan.
Yep. So the shared benefits program through MetLife is only for the non-medical.
Oh, non-medical. Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, but we'd be more than happy, MACC and Gallagher would be more than happy to have a conversation how we can support your medical coverage as well.
Pretty much bundling everything but, right?
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Well, Caleb, we really appreciate your spending the time informing us about all of the ins and outs of this benefits bundle. And it's a lot of information. So obviously for our MACC members, you'll be receiving the recording, you'll be receiving the slide deck, and you'll of course have access to contacting MACC reps or Caleb to learn more about the program. Is there anything time sensitive that folks need to know about this in terms of if they're considering opting in or have more questions?
From my perspective, not necessarily. That will play more towards your expectation of open enrollment. So I'm going to assume that most people on this call renew on January 1st. So typically we like to review your renewal, review any market options 3-4 months in advance. So we are getting pretty close to the point where we could be requesting proposals and then reviewing them. So, but if there is a different timeline that you want to work with, maybe you're comfortable going later into the year, we can also work with that as well. one of the questions I have been asked was specific to the PFML program. So there hasn't been necessarily a formal date set of when you need to make a decision by. Each carrier will have various onboarding timelines, so we'll want to be cognizant of that. But from like a state perspective, I have not heard of a formal final date of that you need to make a decision to opt into.
Oh, Amanda has a comment in chat.
Yep. Yeah, Amanda, yes, it does work much better when the employees are all on the same renewal cycle. So you would eventually sync to a calendar year renewal. So although you could join mid-year, we'd set you up so that you're renewing on a calendar year.
Yeah, so we might have members who have these benefits coming from other directions or don't have them at all yet. And if they want to explore it further, you just shared reach out to Tricia. Is that, just to clarify, that's the step,
Correct.
right? And there she is. Tricia, do you want to drop your email in the chat? That would be great. Even if you just want to explore it and see what the benefits are to being part of a group buying situation, yeah, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? Did we miss anything?
I see Steve dropped a question in the chat, and Amanda already answered it. Yes, you can pick and choose which of the benefits you like to offer. There's no all or nothing clause to this program.
Amanda, remind us, how many MACC members are currently in this shared pool?
I can actually answer that question. So if we are including the entirety of all members, both the HR subscribers and non, I believe our number is near 30.
Yeah, so it's a great pool of members. All right. Well, this has been super informative. Keep the questions coming if you have them. We've got a few more minutes, but just want to take a minute to thank our guests from Gallagher. Caleb, you're always such a great partner, and we really appreciate that partnership with you and Gallagher. And of course, I want to shout out that you were at our summit sponsoring that, so we really appreciate doing business together. It's a great partnership.
Yeah.
All right, and thanks as well.
It's certainly our privilege and our pleasure to be here. So appreciate the time.
Thanks. Yeah. And thanks again to Trish and Amanda for joining us. And again, feel free to reach out to them. They are resources for so many things at MACC. And keep reading the chat. Looks like there's still conversation coming in there. And just want to thank everyone for attending today. We had 5 or 6 additional MACC member organizations with us, and appreciate that you took the time out of your day to learn more about this member opportunity as well. Reach out if you have questions. And with that, I think we will wrap up today's conversation. Wish everybody well. Thanks, and have a great day to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.